and welcome back to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Championship Series here in beautiful Charlotte, North Carolina. Here we get to see a bit of the cityscape, these clouds moving real quick. Here's everyone in round 4 of our YCS. We had an attendance of 1,117 players. Now only 135 duels remain undefeated. My name is Robert Boyajian. I'm here with Billy Brake, and we're excited to bring you round 4 very shortly.
Yeah, it's been a great tournament so far. 3 rounds in the books. We saw 3 remote duel YCS champions each win their rounds respectively, showing that you had that dedication through this pandemic and being able to play at home, and it really pays off when we're finally be able to return to in-person play here. And we're going to have more exciting matchups coming up, but I think our fourth feature match is ready, so let's go ahead and check out our players we have here at round 4 of YCS Charlotte. First up, we have Ramiro Garcia from my hometown as well, Dallas, Texas. Favorite card, one of the iconics, Dark Armed Dragon. He's a 2-time YCS champion, definitely no slouch. And his opponent, Thunder, a force to be reckoned with on the dueling field. It's Shu Ping. He's from Philadelphia, PA. His favorite card's Chaos Space. He's known for being a Dragon Link master. He's also been piloting Drytron for quite some time. Love to see if he's going to continue to be using that Drytron strategy without Ava being included. And, Ramiro definitely, like I mentioned, not only just a 2-time YCS champion, a back-to-back YCS champion. He actually won 2 weekends in a row back just a little while ago with, I believe, Lunalight Orcust. So definitely really 2 well-veteran duels that have been around the circuit for a while. They both have a record of 2-1, so 1 loss apiece, but still in contention to make that day 2 cutoff.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, both these duelists are 2-1 heading into this round, just round 4 of the tournament, and they're going to have to face off against an opponent as star-studded is what they're staring across the table. Big game, right? This is going to be an exciting one for sure. I'm really excited to see what exactly Ramiro brought to the table, right? As you mentioned, Shu Ping, sort of known for he's playing a deck throughout an entire format, right? Dragon Link, he did not give it up. Drytron has been his most recent one that seems like he's playing with. Obviously, a lot has changed, right? Especially with the advent of the Grand Creators and everything else involved with the Adventure Engine. So, is he still on Drytron? We'll have to see. We saw Nick Ma earlier play Drytron. Powerful deck.
I'm getting a little sneak preview here from his shuffles, and I did see a Herald of Perfection and a pre-preparation of Rights, so I do believe he is going to be on that strategy. And, this is just being one of these players, like, normally you're like, oh man, I'm facing this YCS champion, I'm scared, but, both of them being YCS champions, it's more so of an exciting time. Like, you're on a feature match stage, you get to face the toughest competition, it can really bring out the best in each of these duelists. So now they're taking the time to shuffle each other's decks, tell them how many they want to cut from the top to the bottom. And now here comes that all-important die roll to see who will be going first.
We'll have to see. I like Shu Ping's roll. He doesn't even look at it. He's like, I'll find out in a minute.
And it looks like Ramiro won the roll and is going to opt to start the duel. Drawing their opening hands.
Yep, here is game 1 of round 4 at YCS Charlotte. As we've been saying, Battle of the Ages here between Ramiro and Shu Ping, right? This could be a YCS Finals. Like, this feature match is easily 2 people who could be in the finals. And it looks like Ramiro is going to start off with Water Enchantress, banishing it to add Rights of Armistice. Both Collector's Rare. Awesomely blinged out deck he has there. And we will surely see that activated very shortly. Yep, and it will be. He's going to get the Adventurer token onto the field before grabbing a copy of Fateful Adventure from his deck.
Yeah, certainly. We saw kind of Shu Ping is on that Drytron strategy. You mentioned earlier it's a deck that doesn't really use too many monster effects from hand, especially with the loss of Ava. Herald of Orange Light has kind of fallen out of favor because it's not as free. And it looks like Ramiro is on the Prank Kid strategy. So he will use normal summon Dropsies, and then he's going to link the Dropsies away for Prank Kid Meow Meow Mew.
Yep, small error there on the deck type, so just ignore that there. He is definitely on Prank Kids, one PK to another. You know how that
The initials are right.
Yeah, the initials are right at the very least, but he's going to go ahead and normal summon that Dropsies, link it away from Meow Meow Mew, trigger the effect of Faithful Adventure to grab Draco back as well in that process.
And now the Dropsies is going to summon Fansies from the deck to the field since it was used for a link summon. We'll see where he goes next. It looks like he's triggering the Faithful Adventurer to add Wandering Griffin Rider from his deck to his hand. That's going to cost him a card out of his hand.
Yep, likely going to be that Draco back, though, which is just going to find its way back on the table. We'll see what he discards. Yep, is indeed the Draco back. Going to be equipped onto the Adventurer token. Go ahead and try to special summon the Wandering Griffin Rider. He has a token, so its effect is online. That is going to link away Fansies alongside the Meow Meow Mew for
Doodle Doodle Doo. Doodle Doodle Doo's effect's going to activate to allow him to add a Print Kid spell. And he'll be able to trigger the Print Kids he used for this Link Summon to special summon another Print Kid from the deck.
Print Kid's Pandemonium. To summon Print Kid's Lampsies and effect to
I'm going to go ahead and add for the Doodle.
Print Kid's Pranks.
Grabs Print Kids Pranks. That's a good one. Not only lets you get the extra draw at the end phase, but if things, go wrong and you want to get another token onto the field to help, get more monsters for those Link Summons to the Prank King monsters, you're able to discard a card from your hand and use it to get a token to continue extending. When it really helps if you're playing into something like that just stops like an Ash Blossom or something usually, because you need to get another monster so you can still Link Summon into the Doodle Doodle Doo.
Yeah, definitely. And he's going to go ahead and activate Zep Plates, get another token, link it away alongside the Lampsies for another Doodle Doodle Doo.
Lampsies is going to do a little bit of damage to Shu Ping's life points and then special summon. Yep, Roxy's is up next from the deck to the field. The Wandering Griffin Rider just making up, just having that extra layer of protection, allowing you to do all of your Prank Kid combos. Just fantastic addition to the Prank Kid decks, the Adventure package. Now he's going to link for Bow Wow Bark.
So banish one.
And triggers the Roxy's to exchange an Nibiru in his hand for a brand new card.
Yeah, effects like that lets you sculpt your hand a little bit, right? We saw it a long time ago, Phantasme and similar, just anything that lets you... Yeah, exactly. Put back, reactive cards for proactive ones, right? Or things like this case, putting back a Nibiru that you know is going to be less strong the following turn for maybe something better.
Attempt in my main phase.
Probably going to set that Pandemonium. The Bow Wow Bark is going to allow him to add back the Prank Kids during his opponent's turn back to his hand, so he'll have the materials he needs to be able to fuse for Battle Beller.
Yes, I'm at 9,000. He's at 75. So effect the Prank Kids Pranks, shuffle back Prank Kids Doodle Doo, Prank Kids Fansies, and Prank Kids Roxy's.
You were talking about those sculpting your hand kind of effects. It's also sometimes for some reason when you need to do that, it always feels like that card you draw off that effect is always just like that key one you needed. It's like, oh, there's that extra monster effect I need in my hand to protect myself, or there's that extra trap card I wanted to set. So maybe here Prank Kids Prank can do the same thing, get him another layer of defense added to the hand here at the end phase.
Go ahead, sir.
But now Shu Ping is on the play.
Anything on draw phase?
Thinking on draw phase.
Okay.
It looked like Ramiro reacted a little bit whenever he drew his card, so I don't know if that was a good reaction or oh, I just drew the third copy of something I did not want to see. But Shu Ping has the play now. He's thinking in his draw phase.
Use a turn player priority.
Yes, sir.
Activate. Thinking about costs.
So starts with Forbidden Droplet, trying to cut off that Bow Wow Bark from adding back the necessary Prank Kids. He'll need to use that Pandemonium.
Yeah, heads up, too. Turn player priority. He's holding it in the draw phase, knowing that he has player priority for spell speed 2 or higher effects, right? Making sure that he can't activate things like that Bow Wow Bark in response. He's going to get rid of Forbidden Droplets and Drytron Alpha Thubin.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Yep, and he's going to be able to negate that Griffin Rider and the Bow Wow Bark. And so Ramiro pretty much left with nothing if he's not able to. I mean, the Pandemonium can still maybe make something like Weather Watcher, but if he doesn't have the right materials, not able to get to that Butler, definitely nowhere near as good. And now Shu Ping, the left-handed duelist, is going to activate Fafnir and going to grab Drytron Nova from his deck to his hand. Yeah, I mean, we just see the power of Forbidden Droplet here. Really helping you when you go second, being able to deal with whatever the opponent puts up, especially when it's something like Bow Wow Bark and the Wandering Griffin Rider. You're going to be facing down cards like Wandering Griffin Rider all day long.
We'll see exactly what he chooses to get here. Looks like a Zeta.
All the ball?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was the last name.
Anything on summon?
I have nothing on summon.
Cool.
So now
Drytron Alpha Zuba in the graveyard.
You're going to tribute Zeta, the classic combo.
I will attempt to activate Ghost Spell on Haunted Mansion. Cool.
Ooh, Ghost Bell Haunted Mansion going to stop that alpha since it is trying to special summon from the graveyard. Ghost Bell seeing a little rise in popularity since it has a plethora of cards it can deal with during the opponent's turn. It's also a level 3 that helps you, access things. Tuner really makes it fantastic. Just all around another point of interaction you can have in your deck. I wonder if that's what he drew off that Prank Kids Pranks.
That would have been a juicy one if so. Shuping is going to try to press forward with Preparation of Rights, grab that crucial Cyber Angel Ben-10 from his deck to his hand. Already used the effective Alpha, but still has the Zeta, so he's going to go ahead and trigger that next, tributing off the Ben-10. No response from Ramiro, so that's going to hit the field. That's going to trigger both effects, so he's going to grab a Ritual Spell along with a Fairy from his deck to his hand.
Yeah,
so,
having that right there, you have to think Xu Ping did this on purpose, knowing that there could be something like an Ash Blossom, a Ghost Spell. He wanted to use that Alpha first, knowing he doesn't actually need to get the Fairy at all because he has that preparation to go grab the Ben 10, which will eventually get him access to the Diviner. And so the Zeta was more important for him here to be able to access the Meteor's Drytron. So Xu Ping already showing, his mastery of the deck. The order that you activate your effects can be crucial in fighting back after going second in a game for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think just leading with those effects that look like something you should be responding to, right? So you clear the way for the things that matter a little bit more. Shuping's a master, right? So it looks like he grabbed Herald the Diviner, as you mentioned, along with Meteor's Drytron.
Normal summon Diviner of the Herald, and then
Diviner's coming down. We'll have to see.
What
What do you decide to send? He can send Herald to Arclight. He can send an Intis if he wants to just destroy a card in the field.
These two.
And it foolishes a fairy from your deck or extra deck, right?
Deck or extra.
Thinking. You have 2 cards. One is the.
Looks like Ramiro might have some response here to the Diviner effect. Maybe a copy of Effect Veiler.
I will Effect Veiler.
There it is.
Sure.
So yeah, I'm starting to believe he had to have drawn one of these cards, one of these monster effects off that Prank Kids Pranks. Which usually happens, like just that extra little, because you already thin your deck out of all the Prank Kids cards.
Yeah.
You put them back in you put some back into your deck, but you're putting also those extra deck monsters back in. Your deck's thin. You're more than likely going to draw into one of those non-engine cards.
It's the big thing about using your draw effects after you're able to combo, right? Like, you don't need to lead with it. Obviously, sometimes it's nicer to sort of see what options you have in terms of, your line of play, your combos. But if you're able to afford to use them after, it gets a lot further down. And it looks like that is enough for Shuping as Ramiro takes a quick game 1 really on the back of these points of interaction, right? He was able to establish a strong board. Wandering Griffin Rider made it so Shuping could not interact, or if he could, he would need 2 pieces to do so. And then in addition to that, just had a couple of pieces of his own.
Yeah, I mean, Shuping had the Droplets to cut off the Pandemonium, cut off the Griffin Rider, but those monster effects from the hand, so crucial. You always want, no matter what your board is, you always want to have those effects in your hand on top of that. Because, you see, there's a lot of cards that can deal with these boards. Droplet, Dark Ruler no more, tons of ways to deal with it. And, having other effects in the hand is crucial and pays off huge here for Ramiro. Now they're going into game 2, side decking. Shuping will get to go first this time, which is definitely what the Drytron player is looking to do. It's a lot, even though they can do a lot going second, as we saw there with Droplets, against Prank Kids, it's definitely a lot easier when you're able to go first and establish a board to maybe disrupt their plays before they're able to really get their pranks online.
Yeah, and it looks like we got a little sneak peek on what Shuping would be bringing in going first, and that's going to be Goes and Match.
Ooh.
Yeah, definitely a strong one in Drytron, right? All your monsters are light. Typically, right, you might be going a little extra deck a little bit otherwise, but Goes and Match is one of those powerful, continuous trap cards that really stifles in what you're able to do, right?
I mean, especially
so
Prank Kids, right?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
They're all different attributes. Definitely can cripple the deck if he's able to get that Goes and Match established on the first turn.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, too, that, weirdly helps you fight against, hand effects as well, right? I'm doing a combo. I get hit with Effect Veiler, maybe a Nibiru, maybe a Drilling Lockbird. I can just set Goes and Match.
Yep.
Right? And then one of those things where, did you keep in your Spell and Trap card? Did you bring in Spell and Trap card removal against Drytron?
Yeah, it's tough.
If not, I'm going to get you, right?
It's a super tough call to expect to put in something like that. Yeah. Maybe having multiple copies of Goes and Match 2 could just really seal the deal if he's able to get 2 online, or if something like Draco Bat comes down for Ramiro. It depends, actually, if he can just lock him into something that doesn't let him get the Adventure token on the field and doesn't let him get to access to the Draco Bat to bounce back the Goes and Match, or if he has multiple copies, it can be really, really huge. It's really Goes and Match is one of those cards, it's all about timing. Making sure the time you activate is the most important, whether you're clearing multiple monsters off the board so you're getting some value just by simply activating it, whether they deal with it or not, or if you're just trying to get them stuck on a certain card so they don't access the card that can out that Goes and Match.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be a good one. We're going to see it. Ramiro, though, also gets to bring in cards, right? Going second against Drytron, likely Drone Lockbird, likely these other hand effects. Prank Kid's one of those decks that's able to jam a bunch of hand effects, right? Depending on how like far they expand their engine. I know we were looking at Joe Diedrich's deck earlier, right? Like he had things like the Destiny Hero engine in there. He had some extra stuff with like Magician Souls and some other engines, right? Not always standard in the Prank Kids deck.
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah, and usually where those slots like take up are things like hand effects. And so seeing Ramiro's deck, or at least what he's played so far, likely that he's leaning towards more of those hand effects, which, you know, Drytron can play through a couple, but there are some key ones that are very strong when we talk about stuff like Drone Lockbird and other stuff. So it's going to be a good one. We'll see exactly how these duelists want to play out this second game. Both of them like very aware of what the opponent's strategies do as well. Like Shunping, as you mentioned, on a more like traditional Drytron deck list with stuff like Herald still in it. So
yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, we already mentioned like the amount of hand effects that we already saw in game 1 from Ramiro. We can only expect more coming in here for game 2, but Shunping probably counting for that. I mean, we've seen cards like Ghost and Match, so let's see if he's going to be able to open up with that powerful trap card, or if he's just going to have, you know, a normal Drytron turn 1. Well, what the new normal is now that Eva is no longer around. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump here into game 2 of our 4th round of Swiss here at YCS Charlotte.
And Shunping's going to start with Pot of Prosperity. Powerful card, incredibly powerful card. You know, little deceptive. You got to get rid of some extra deck cards, but not too bad of a deal when you get to pick out of 6 exactly what you want, right? And sometimes your hand's strong enough, 3's enough. So he's going to go ahead and banish the full 6 though. So Drytron, one of those decks where Pot of Prosperity is especially key because you have these like 1-2 card combos that can just do so much. It looks like he's going to reveal a few Cyber Angels along with, oh, this is not the best reveal, but those last 2 cards are the big ones, right? Goes in Match and Nova.
Yeah, definitely huge. You've seen that, yeah. Natasha, it is not really cards you want to have your hand. Draken is also the same. You know, Shunping taking a moment to consider his options. It looks like he is going for the Cyber Angel Iditin, probably to enable, you know, it's a good starter way to get monsters on the board, access Beatrice easily. You're able to summon it, add back the Meteor's Drytron, and then if you just have something like Diviner of the Herald, that's a level rank 6 you're going to be able to make, and Beatrice just a fantastic card against a lot of the decks. You get instant access to stuff like Token Collector if you're trying to have some sort of disruption for the Adventure package, because if you have Token Collector plus an Ash Blossom, you know, that's pretty good against Prank Kids. Well, the Adventure Prank Kid deck, as it were. Now it looks like Alpha is going to tribute Zeta, summoning from the hand, so trying to play around Ghost Spell here, and going to grab Cyber Angel Ben 10. So he'll be able to tribute off that Ben 10 for Zeta. Doesn't look like Ramiro has any responses. Zeta would be the one he really would want to stop here because he doesn't want to let him access that Meteor's Drytron, knowing that he already has that Cyber Angel Iditin in the hand, but grabs Dawn of the Herald. Now Ben 10 is resolving to grab Diviner. Dawn of the Herald, Diviner of the Herald.
A lot of Heralds going on. A lot of things are divine. Where it's the dawn of something, that's for sure. But yeah, I talked about that a little earlier, right? Like using these pot effects before or after you combo. Shunping specifically already had access to Alpha and Zeta, right? So we already know he's able to do something powerful, but I think Drytron specifically is one of those decks where if you have the option to like do something different or get some layer, like it's not a deck that needs to dig for a hand effect or dig for interaction after you combo. You'd rather like find an additional thing to do during your combo.
True.
So I think there is a key difference here. So he's going to overlay those 2 monsters for Mu Beta Fafnir before activating Meteor's Drytron.
Oh, so he already had the Meteor's in his hand, so that's why we saw him grab that Dawn of the Herald. Makes a lot of sense. Meteor's Drytron able to summon from the graveyard, so he's going to use one of the materials on Mu Beta Fafnir as the cost for the ritual summon to summon Ben 10 back, and then he can lower the attack of Mu Beta Fafnir by 1,000 to add that Meteor's Drytron from the graveyard back to Shunping's hand. So now we're probably going to see that Meteor's Drytron tribute to Ben 10 to summon Cyber Angel Iditin. It's all about the order which he does it. Another thing you mentioned, the Pot of Prosperity, leading off with it. Also, you know, when you're worried about something like Ash Blossom and Joyous Springs, there's a potential they're going to stop a card like that where he already had everything he needed, so you can get to like potentially bait something out there. And you know, well, that's a kind of a trait amongst a lot of the top players is how many times can I like bait out your cards before I push through things? I used to try and capitalize on that, and I would just play my good one first because they would think I'm trying to like bait out their cards every time, and be like, nope, I'm just going straight forward into it. Little risky sometimes, but it's all about reading the situation right. And now it looks like the Gamma is going to tribute to Ben 10, summon back the Alpha, and then that Ben 10 is going to add Herald of Perfection to Xu Ping's hand.
Yep, he still has that Meteor's Drytron added back to his hand, so he could potentially use it, grab back that Cyber Angel Benton one more time, and then do something very powerful with Dawn of the Herald, where he tributes off the Benton, special summons the Herald of Perfection, and then banishes it to add the Benton back, right?
Yeah.
One
so
Benton,
cool.
3 Benton, still Law Benton.
Still going to be coming down. Yeah, Meteor's Drytron being able to summon from the graveyard, you get to use it a lot. And now Dawn of the Herald is coming down to try and summon Cyber Angel, or he's going to tribute Cyber Angel Editon to summon Herald of Perfection.
Yep, still going to use the Dawn to be able to grab it back, so not too bad.
Yeah, so Xu Ping getting the Herald of Perfection on the field now, just in case there is one of those monster effects in the hand that Ramiro's been holding on to for a timely activation.
We'll see what he chooses to do next here.
Normal.
Still has the normal summon for Herald of the Diviner.
Normal summon.
Yeah, I mean,
Diviner.
Xu Ping really just
Diviner
showed
Herald, I apologize.
the power of the Drytron deck. It does so much. Even with they only lost Ava, they didn't really lose any of their core cards. It's just the amount of fairies they have afterwards, you know, kind of slowed down a little bit, but still able to put up impressive boards, especially when it's piloted by someone, you know, as well known for good reason as Xu Ping.
Yeah, combo god, if you will. Really, like
he's one of them, yeah, for sure.
I mean, even before Dragon Link, this was one of the people who initially like sort of brought attention to Dark Warrior in the TCG at least, right? Like definitely was an OCG strategy. We know Xu Ping's pretty familiar with the OCG, but
I remember the first time I played him, he annihilated me with pure speedroids. Like it was like an OCG only deck came over here, and I was like, "What? I didn't know anyone even could use pure speedroids." Absolutely destroyed me in a tournament.
Yeah, definitely the additional perspective is nice, right? Like, because it really does give you an edge in certain things like this. So he's going to go ahead and overlay his level 6s. That's going to be the Cyber Angel Ben 10 along with the Diviner of Herald that was modulated to 6 thanks to sending Herald of the Arclight. For Beatrice, use Beatrice effect to get Ghost Match. Does that mean he's going to use, is it the Nightmare, right? Nightmare Griffin? Oh, no.
Barricade blocker, so he's going to be able to use the barricade blocker to link climb into Auroradon, because Auroradon's third effect lets you set a trap card from your graveyard. We were kind of talking about this before this weekend started. This is kind of a combo that Drytron players can access. So we've seen Auroradon summon, you know, use the Cult Wing, all sorts of cards, but the third effect isn't something that comes up as often. Tributes off all 3 of the tokens it makes to add that Gozen match from the graveyard to the hand. So probably why he didn't grab that Gozen match off of Pot of Prosperity, because he knew his end combo would eventually be able to access. This is quite a board. Perfection, Beatrice, Gozen match.
It's solid. Solid for sure. My question would be, how many Gozen matches do you think he brings in?
Yeah.
Do you think he just brings in 1 because he can foolish and do this every time, or do you think he has 3 because it's like a fusion and Destiny thing where like doesn't matter?
I think when you're going first, you're probably going to have those 3 copies, but maybe when you're going second, you kind of slim it down to 1. But at the same time, you can still run 3 because even drawing it when you go second, it could be something you could use to wipe the board, like starting off with your opponent's turn, if you can force out any sort of like a negate they may have on the field. So yeah, if Auroradon was already not doing enough, it is now integral to a newer Drytron combo. And now Ramiro is going to lead things off with Prank Kids Pranks, which is a really good card to have when you're going second. Once your opponent already has monsters on the board, you'll be able to activate the effect when you summon a Link monster to lower your opponent's monster's effect, monster's attack points, and then kind of chain block your Prank Kid effect if you need to. And by chain block, I mean like you place your chain links in an order where your opponent can only respond to the chain link 2. So you hide your Prank Kid as chain link 1, place it to be chain link 2. You're not going to be able to Ash Blossom the Prank Kid effect.
Attention players, you sign up for Speed Duel Constructed Flight number 2. Speed Duel Constructed Flight number 2. Please make your way over to the blue banner as that event is about to start. Freeze play! Freeze play!
So Prank Kids Place is going to add Prank Kids Roxy's from the deck to the hand.
Yep, going to start with the Earth this time around. Which one you start with? Basically just what you already have in hand and what maybe additional effects you want to get earlier rather than later, right?
Right.
Really the choice there.
Activate Prank Kids Pandemonium.
Ooh, Pandemonium's going to start for him.
Right off the bat here.
Yeah, big thing about loss of Ava, right, is it's just the number of negates you get with these heralds, right? Because previously Beatrice just meant, oh, I get like 4 fairies to my hand in addition maybe sometimes, but
Yeah,
We'll see.
you're pretty much banking on maybe one negate here with Herald, but usually one negate would be enough. When you see the boards that most of the other decks make, each monster has like their own one negate. So even just using Herald Perfection for one interruption is pretty huge. But Ramiro being able to activate Pandemonium and place has that forbidden droplet, so he can send down the Pandemonium, and it looks like he's going with Dropsies from the hand, so the opponent can't chain spells or monster effects to the droplet, and that's going to be turning off Beatrice and Herald of Perfection for the turn.
Yep, definitely a solid opening here for Ramiro. Immediately answering the effects he had to. Still has to worry a little bit about Goes and Match, but starting with Pandemonium, pretty good there. That's gonna.
But Shubin can chain the trap card, the Goes and Match, and now he's going to be able to chain the Beatrice because it's not directly chaining to that forbidden droplet. So by flipping the Goes and Match, he'll still be able to use this Beatrice. Heads up play here from Shuping. And sending Token Collector is huge just in case Ramiro does have that Rite of Armis here. He'll be able to cut him off from that and only have to deal with the Prank Kids. I mean, Prank Kids with Goes and Match face on the field, not much they can do. He's still going to have to resolve that Pandemonium here.
Yeah, I mean, with the Goes and Match as well, Token Collector, right? A little bit of a nombo.
Oh, he is a little bit not able to summon back because, yeah, he does have the Auroradon on the field.
Oh, he sends the. Oh, I didn't realize that. So he's going to send the Perfection so that it still negates the Pandemonium.
Oh, because it's no longer on the field.
Yeah,
So the
this
droplet,
is crazy cool, actually.
Oh, so the Goes and Match dodged the droplet.
Yes,
oh,
that is wild.
Is cool.
Yeah, that was super, super cool. And
Oh.
now, that cost a lot of cards, too. That cost Ramiro 3 cards.
That. Yeah,
So he has 3 cards left right now, staring down Goes and Match, basically, right, is where he's at.
Right.
Shuping locked under wind because of the Auroradon, right? But if he can get rid of it or he can do something to sort of get it off the field, then he just has all these Drytrons in his graveyard with plenty of fuel.
So he summons Roxy. So we see he grabbed the Roxys because it is an Earth, so he'll be
For
able to
Goes and
still
Match, yeah.
link into Meow Mew. Just heads up plays just from both these players. It was great to see 2 YCS champions battling out like on the ultimate stage here at YCS Charlotte.
Yeah, it's definitely cool because, yeah, this is high-level Yu-Gi-Oh! Right here for sure.
I don't think I've ever seen a Goes and Match be used to dodge the effect negation on the field before.
And we've
in
seen
all
a
my
lot
years,
of Goes. Yeah,
in all
right?
my
I feel like I've
years.
seen a lot of Goes Match, a lot of rivalries. You see it sometimes with other stuff, but I've not thought about it with Goes and Match.
Yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff. And it looks like Ramiro sees the writing on the wall. Drytron's in the graveyard. Goes and Match not going anywhere. And we are going to a game number 3 between these 2 elite duelists.
Key side deck card there for Shunping. Goes and Match did
Huge.
things you would not even expect it to do, and that's what got him that game. But we're going into game 3 right now. Shunping is going to be going second. Ramiro doesn't have to worry about Goes and Match, doesn't really have to worry about Herald of Perfection, probably doesn't have to worry about a lot of hand effects either, right?
Right. I mean, Shunping has a chance to put them in here, maybe some Gammas or something, but you're still not going to be worried about them as much when you're facing down a Drytron deck because, yeah, as you mentioned so many times before, not known for having those hand effects.
Yeah, but known for being able to break through some fields, right? Like, Drytron does a lot when it does anything.
Right.
So it's really like what cards Ramiro might have access to still, like, stifle what Shunping's trying to do, right? Even though Ramiro's going first, he's weirdly still the reactive one in some
Right.
capacities, right? So things like Draw and Lockbird, still going to be key, right? Like, all those hand effects and disruption, still going to be very, very key.
Yeah, that's you kind of touched. I mean, I've played Drytron in the past. You know, I used to have the Drone Lockbirds. I had the Cycle Readers in my side. Even when I'm going first, though, against the Drytron deck, I feel like I have to put all 6 of those monster effects in my main deck going first because they're just so impactful. And the Drytron deck can do so much. And sometimes that can clog your opening hand where you won't be able to get your main strategy online. But if there's any deck that can capitalize on that, it is going to be this Prank Kids deck. As you mentioned, there's so much extra room to where you can play those monster effects, only needing one Prank Kid to really get your combo going. You have all those options where you're not going to your combo's not going to really be stopped from drawing too many points of disruption, unless for some reason you just get unlucky enough not to draw any Prank Kids, which I've seen it happen before, just not too often.
Yeah, I mean, talking about side decks too, Shunping also now going second is usually when Drytron brings in the most cards, right? Like, their
True.
side deck is usually just a ton of going second cards because they're already so good at going first. And knowing that, like, he's playing against a deck like Prank Kid, something that's very well established in the meta game already, means that he has tons of options at his disposal.
Oh yeah, I'm sure when I mean, I'm talking to players on Friday and Thursday when they're building their decks, like when they're looking through their side deck, a lot of the things coming out of players' mouth, what am I doing about prank kids? I think I'm going to play the most amount of this adventure prank kid deck. The popularity has skyrocketed recently, and this is a deck that is heavily prepared for this event, but for good reason. When a deck is heavily prepared for it, it's usually a pretty good deck. So we'll have to see if the cards that Xu puts in will be enough. I mean, we saw Token Collector, being a viable option since you can send it down with Beatrice. It's also just a monster effect you can draw and summon it from your first turn. While Token Collector really locks like those adventure synchro decks like out of the game, prank kids can still follow it up. So Xu will need a Token Collector alongside something else. And there is that beautiful trophy just feet away from these two duelists who would love to add that to their collection. Both of them YCS champions, but they haven't won this awesome trophy yet with that Dueling Dragon etched into it.
Yeah, I mean, both duels, even though you win once, you definitely want more, right? Because once you get your first one, you're like, well, how big can I go, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's you just keep on going. It's not about winning; it's about winning a lot. You want to make sure you want to etch your name in history. I mean, this tournament's like really important for all the players. Like, it's the first one in person in a couple of years, so whoever wins, it's going to be remembered. We have our eyes on all these players. We've been waiting to see what deck's going to emerge for this format. So I'm excited to see. Maybe we'll see. Even if whoever wins out of this loses, they will be 2-2. They're not going to be out of the tournament yet. Since it is Swiss, we still have 5 more rounds to play today. You can still make it in with that X2 record. So the loser won't be out, but will be in much worse shape than the winner will be, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, 2 losses, not like a death sentence to turn on your tournament life. However, it's a different bracket to be in, right? And like, you are fighting for that life every round by round, right?
Every round gets a little bit more serious.
If duels still have, looks like a little over 17 minutes on the clock too, plenty of time for a third game, right? That's probably not going to be a factor here unless it gets to some crazy grind game with like Prank Kids pranks or anything like that. But against Drytron, you don't really play grind games very often, right? Like, it's pretty clear who's going to win it, but we will have to see who exactly that is in game 3 of round 4 at YCS Charlotte. And it looks like Ramiro's going to start with Water Enchantress right into Rites of Artemis here. Going to play that next, get himself a token as well as Fateful Adventure to his hand if Xu has no responses, and it doesn't look like he will. Mentioned it before, Drytron not exactly a deck known for effects from the hand, really trying to break boards rather than like disrupt them on the way.
Yep, certainly. And it looks like he's going to start with that normal summon of Lampsies and then link it away into Meow Mew. And now he'll be able to go Chainlink 1, Lampsies, Chainlink 2, Faithful Adventure to add. So he gets to hide the Lampsies effect, so it won't be able to be negated by something like Ash Blossom and Joy Spring. And to be able to grab that Draco back, the rideable dragon, from the deck and add it to the hand. And out comes Fansies from the Lampsies effect.
Resolution, Faithful Adventure.
Now Faithful Adventure is going to add a monster that mentions Adventure on it to his hand. Probably going to grab that Wandering Griffin Rider and discard the Draco back to Rideable Dragon, as we've seen so many times.
Adding Wandering Griffin Rider. Affect the Draco back to Rideable Dragon to re-equip. Affect the Wandering Griffin Rider.
Wandering Griffin Rider being special summoned to the field, just getting a little more protection. Now he doesn't have to worry about something as much as like Nibiru the Primal Being, unless Xu has, another card to pair with it to stop that Wandering Griffin Rider.
Channel 1 Prank Kids Channel 2 Prank Kid Fancies.
So he's going to go Dodo Doodle Doo, Chainlink 1, Fansies, Chainlink 2. Fansies is going to send Prank Kid's Place from his deck to the graveyard to special summon Dropsies from the deck. And Pandemonium added to the hand from the Dodo Doodle Doo.
He still has a solid number of cards in hand. I believe that's the 4th card out of his hand.
I'll activate Fight the Prank Kids Dodo Doo, targeting Place and Fansies.
Now going up to 6, I believe, after the effective Doodle Doodle Doo.
Activate Prank Kids Pranks. Effect the Prank Kids Pranks, pitching Prank Kids Fansies. Token.
Discards the Fansies,
link
gets
away.
a token. Gonna link away the token with the Dropsies, probably for another Doodle Doodle Doo.
Into Prank Kids Dodo Doo, effect the Dropsies. To gain 1,000.
Miro taking an early lead here in this game with that Dropsies effect to gain 1,000. Summons Roxy's from the deck to the field.
I mean, Dropsies and Lampsies, right? Just the fact that we talked about it before, right? Incidental damage, incidental gain. matters.
It really does.
It really does. Yeah, we saw it a lot with Longwan, right? We've seen it in the past with other cards as well, but just the fact it's just like this little bonus that when you read the card, you don't really care about it, but when it comes to the actual game, you're like, oh, now I feel a little bit safer, right?
Yeah, it's a lot harder to like because you're usually going to resolve like 2 dropsies. Drops on your first turn, drops on your opponent's turn when you fuse for a Battle Butler. You're at 10,000. That's a lot more. Your access code isn't just as easily. Usually access code is easy at getting to 8,000, but you're going to need a little bit more than that just because of that extra 2,000 life points. So I definitely think it is pretty impactful here. And now we see him link away the Doodle-Doo and the Roxy's to summon Bow Wow Bark and summon a Dropsies from his deck to the field. Setting a face-down spell or trap card we can only assume is going to be Prank Kids Pandemonium. And in-phase Prank Kids Prank is going to shuffle back 3 Prank Kids and let him draw a new card.
Looks like it's going to be Dropsies, Roxy's, and a Doodle-Doodle-Doo, which is added back with the pranks. Being able to recycle the extra deck cards as well.
I mean, putting back that
huge.
1 copy of Meow Meow Mew is huge because I mean, if you don't have another copy, when you put it back, you're having to make a choice. You're giving out the Meow Meow Mew from your graveyard, so you're not going to be able to banish it for the cost of a Prank Kid effect. So you're only going to be locked into using 1 Butler effect on the field, but you get to have the follow-up on the following turn.
This hand is crazy. I don't know if you see Chuping's hand, but I saw at least a Dark Ruler No More and an Evenly Matched, which are some pretty strong cards.
That's a 2-card combo.
Yeah,
that is a 2-card
if
combo.
I've ever seen them, right?
Oh, man. See, Evenly Matched is one of those cards, like, I wasn't the biggest fan of because it always left, during, like, the Tri-Brigade format, you'd always leave them with just, like, Revolt or something, so it's, like, not really accomplishing as much. But now in this format where, like, the decks are building such big boards and investing so much in their turn on board, Evenly Matched, they have to leave the token. You can't banish a token face down. So it wipes literally everything else but the adventure token when you activate it. So the power level of that card, I think, is increased significantly and really a fantastic option to include in a lot of side decks.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about the reason why tokens are so good, right? There's all these additional upsides, right? The fact that it's a non-effect monster, but this is definitely a huge drawback, right? Exactly what you said. You can't banish it face down, which means that if you get evenly matched, it has to be that card that you leave.
Shuping
and
Dark
the main
Ruler
phase.
More.
Thinking.
We're already using the Bow Wow Bark's effect to add back from the deck to, from the graveyard to his hand the materials he'll need to fuse with. I mean, Dark Ruler No More, just one of those all-time like really good cards. All these decks focus on, like, especially like Adventure Synchro, even Phantom Knights. They focus on putting so many monster effects on the field, and Dark Ruler No More, just you can't respond to it. They're all going to be negated. Just a great way to break into your second turn. And yeah, I mean, in combination with Evenly Matched is just fantastic.
Yeah.
Really, I can't think of 2 cards you wouldn't want to draw together going second.
Right, like even their downsides are just fine with each other as well. Like losing out your battle phase, not that big of a deal after you've activated Dark Ruler No More.
Yeah.
So they are actually just a match made somewhere. And it's a strong interaction for sure. There it is, the evenly matched, yep, is just going to get rid of everything but the token. That's a lot of cards. There's a little bit of a howl from the crowd as well for the spectators watching. But, you know, Ramiro still has a solid number of cards in his hand. That's one thing Prank Kids does very well, especially with its Link monsters. He can always add back more, so he still has a grip of, I think, like 5 cards. Before, it looks like he just clarified.
Yeah, the game's definitely not over by any means. Shuping is already going to be in his main phase too, so Ramiro will have another turn. And as you mentioned, yeah, not out of cards just quite yet, but we'll see what Shuping can do if he has some Drytron names and or if Ramiro has any of those hand effects. Starting off with Cyber Emergency, he's going to be able to grab any Drytron he wants. Since the Drytrons are light machines, conveniently.
Yeah, the fact that Cyber Emergency works well in this deck was a nice upside when these cards came out. But yeah, I mean, I would be surprised if Ramiro doesn't have something in her, like some sort of disruption in his hand.
We know he has a couple Prank Kids from the Bow Wow Bark, but then a couple of unknowns for sure. But Alpha Zeta, and there, it is an Ash Blossom. So already cutting off the access to the fairy.
You'll see now Shuping down to 3 cards, one being that Alpha. He's
like
going to follow up with the Zeta.
Yep. Going to maybe tribute that Alpha, unless... Oh, look, he has Gamma too. Oh my gosh, the more names, the merrier here for Shuping. Not only just having Dark Ruler No More evenly matched, having 3 different Drytron names on top of that, huge.
Yeah, ginormous, in fact. But we'll see exactly what that last card is too, because it definitely matters here.
And activate.
I just imagine, like, when evenly matched resolves, the adventurer is just kind of standing there on the field, and he's like, "Where'd everyone go? Like, where's all my support?" Like, that's the whole point of the adventure. You know, his team's with him. Who's going to help him on his adventure? But now this lonesome adventure token just sitting there in defense mode. 2,000 defense, not, you know, the lowest amount of defense, but we'll see if he's going to be able to clear the token off the field somehow here in this main phase 2. But we see him use the Gamma effect. And now he's going to overlay for Mu Beta Fafnir. And Mu Beta Fafnir will let him send a Drytron from his deck to the graveyard when it's summoned.
Drytron Delta Altice.
Takes a moment to make sure he says the full name.
Yeah, but with that Meteor's Drytron in his hand as well, going to be able to at least get a draw off of it, which is nice.
Top, one at the bottom.
Have the one to the bottom.
Maybe find something that could get him a lot further. Diviner the Herald being a big one, for example, that I think he could find.
Diviner would be huge here. If he's able to access Beatrice and maybe do that same kind of combo where he can get to Gozen match, it could be pretty. I mean, he has to get the Gozen match. He has to get the adventure token off the field. I guess, no, the Draco back is already in. It's banished face down. It's not coming back. He's not going to have that Draco back option to bounce the Gozen match. So if he's able to get that trap card on the field, it could be disastrous here for Ramiro. And this is game 3.
And I think we're getting a little bit of sneak peek of Ramiro's hand. It looks like just 4 prank kids.
Not the greatest.
We know he'll summon 1. From there, a mystery. Oh, it looks like he had the Herald of Perfection. He's going to tribute it for Alteus. Reveal the Meteor's Drytron, right, that he searched, because he can grab it back from the graveyard with Meteor's Drytron. So this is great, right? Basically just trading it for a free card, knowing that you can get it back anyway. Yeah,
the Drytron cards, they don't not really straightforward in telling you, like, oh, this is how you're going to gain to draw a card, but, like, you really can. It's costing you a card, but if you're summoning that card back from your graveyard, as you mentioned, you're actually gaining a card in the process. Especially when you're able to use the materials under Mu Beta Fafnir for the ritual summon. You don't have to give up any sort of advantage to actually summon the ritual monster. Now he'll be able to add back that Meteonis by lowering the attack of Alpha or Delta. He's going to go after Delta, so it goes down to 1,000.
Yeah, big question being now whether or not he has any fairies for this Herald to interact. But even if he just has 1, like 1 piece, it might be enough with how dense Ramiro's hand is with these normal summons, right? Because every other normal summon effectively dead. But he's just going to use it as a link material instead. All right, so he's going to summon IP Masquerena, iconic Link 2. Oh, but he's just going to use it, bring it back.
Free.
I like this. I like this. Get some extra value off of the Mu Beta Fafnir. He's going to link it again. Ooh.
Link 2 into Barricade Board Blocker.
Probably a sign he does not have those fairies. Going to get the Barricade Board Blocker now.
Checking to make sure he doesn't have any field spells in there. Then linking those away. We see the Auroradon, but there's no Gozen match yet.
He has an evenly match.
Oh,
different kind of match, but a little bit worse. We'll see exactly.
Mega Fentabee's Auroradon effect, tribute 1 token.
I was going to be using the other effect to tribute a token to destroy the. This is the way he was finding. I knew he needed to get that adventure token off the field, and he does so with the Auroradon effect. Like, it has 3 effects, and you can really use it in a plethora of scenarios.
Auroradon is a wild card. it really does a
destroys
lot.
Cards, summons monsters.
I remember looking at assessing cards. I was like, anything that gets me an extra monster is good, right? Anything that gets me 2 is usually great to broken, right? Auroradon not only does that more, but it's just a ridiculous card. So we're going to look at both players' graveyards right now. For Ramiro, really just one of each Prank Kids Link monster, along with a spell card. For Shunping, his graveyard, I think, matters a little bit more in this situation. It's got everything from Gamma, Zeta, Beta, Alpha.
The whole gang's there, yeah.
And we could go down with Greek alphabet. And the normal summon for Ramiro is going to be, I believe that's Lampsies in the middle zone.
And this might prompt IP Masquerena.
Yep.
So Masquerena is going to be able to link into
a
Nightmare Unicorn.
Yep, spin it
2
away.
monsters with different names. You can use the token.
Ooh, and it's going to be
co-linked. So he gets that draw. Discarding another copy of Evenly Matched. We'll see if Ramiro has anything to stop this. If not, could be the end here for Ramiro, unless he has another way to get Prank Kids on the field. But with, Prank Kids, Pranks is gone, Draco back, it's gone. Like, evenly matched, it doesn't just destroy them or like, get rid of them. They're banished face down. They're not coming back.
Yeah.
I mean, there are ways to get banished face down cards back, but it's not an easy process. It's not an easy process.
Not an easy
Very
process
specific cards are the only ones that allow you to do that.
The thing for Shooping is he just has to not miss on 2 draw phases to find something to tribute for these Drytrons, right? Like, that's really where he's at. But still has a solid clock on the field with his monsters. Yep,
there it is.
That's not a miss.
Yep, Ramiro's like, and that's all I need to see. I know what this is going to mean in an epic match here between 2 top-level duelists, 2 YCS champions, and Shu Ping is going to move on with a 3-1 record, winning our 4th feature match. Congratulations, Shu Ping, to a very, very decorated duelist, and showing it off here. Every time we put him on here, he does something that impresses me.
Yeah, I mean, I got tingles. I think this is my favorite match of the weekend so far, right? A lot of back and forth, a lot of just high-tier gameplay what we saw there. So it's super awesome to see, especially like the cool interaction that goes in match, right? Like, I think that's a big one. But we're going to cut to a quick commercial break before we have an interview with our winner. So make sure to stay tuned, and we'll be back real soon. Alrighty, hello everyone, and we are back with our round 4 feature match winner, Shun Ping. Congratulations, that was an awesome match to watch. So how does it feel being back at the live feature match table?
Well, I'm expected back to the feature match table at some point throughout the day, so it's just eventually gonna happen.
I mean, confidence is key, and I like that answer. So, you just had a match against Ramiro. What stood out to you?
Well, it was like not really a good match at the beginning. I lost dice roll, so I was definitely not on the lucky side. It just, I guess drew the right card at game 3. That's why. And also, because maybe he's a little bit unlucky, he didn't draw any hand traps against me.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the case, right? You got to get lucky sometimes, and that's what it takes. So, playing Drytron, right, what matchups are you looking forward to play against the most?
I think I'm fine. I'm equal to like almost all the decks in the format. Just as long as I'm winning dice roll going first, I'm good.
Drytron, one of those decks is definitely powerful, right? Winning the dice roll is a big deal. So, what do you think your chances are to take down YCS Charlotte?
Well, if I'm lucky enough for the rest of the day and tomorrow, then yeah, that's what I need.
All right, well, best of luck to me, my friend. Yep, good luck in the rest. We'll be back with our next feature match very soon, so please stay tuned.